I'm 73 years old, and today I'm going to tell you the part of the story nobody puts on Instagram. You've seen those videos, right? The ones where somebody storms out of their office, throws their badge on the desk, and suddenly they're on a beach in Bali, smiling with a coconut in their hand. I quit my job and finally started living my dream. Yeah, they forgot a few chapters, because I did it. I quit. I walked away from a big, respectable job after my heart attack. And what happened after that almost broke me, and also saved my life. So if you're thinking about quitting, or you're fantasizing about telling your boss, "I'm done," let me give you the real version. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because this decision can be the best thing you ever do, or the most painful, depending on how you handle what comes next. Let me start at the beginning. After my heart attack at 52, I went back to work like an idiot. The doctors told me to slow down. My wife begged me to take it easy. But my identity was wrapped up in that job. I didn't know who I was without it. So I put on the suit, grabbed the briefcase, and walked back into the same office that had almost killed me. For months, I tried to pretend everything was normal. I sat in meetings about quarterly projections and billable hours while this little voice in my head kept asking, "Is this it? Is this what you're going to spend the rest of your life doing? Waiting to die at your desk?" One morning, I was sitting in my car in the parking garage. I hadn't even turned the engine off yet, and my hands were shaking. Not from the heart attack, this was fear, anxiety. My body was screaming no, while my brain kept saying, "You have responsibilities. You can't just walk away. Be reasonable." I looked at myself in the rearview mirror, and I realized something. I was more afraid of changing my life than I was of dying. That was the day I knew I had to quit. 9 months after my heart attack, I walked into my managing partner's office. I'd rehearsed the speech in my head 100 times. My heart was racing, my shirt was probably soaked in sweat, but I did it. "I'm resigning. I can't do this anymore. I need to live while I still have time." He stared at me for a long moment. He tried to talk me out of it, offered me a sabbatical, fewer hours. But the truth was, I didn't trust myself. If I stayed, I'd get sucked back in. So I shook his hand, thanked him for the years, and walked out. And you know what? That drive home felt amazing. Like taking off a 100-pound backpack I'd been carrying for decades. I rolled down the window, turned up the music, and thought, this is it. Freedom. I finally did it. That feeling lasted about 24 hours. The next morning, I woke up and it hit me. No meetings, no calls, no emails, no paycheck coming in next month. Just a silent house, a half-cold cup of coffee, and this question looping in my head. What have you done? See, nobody talks about that part. The crash after the high. The emptiness after the escape. You think you're running into freedom, but at first it feels more like falling. Let's talk about the money, because that's where reality hit me the hardest. On paper, I thought I was fine. Partner salary for years, nice savings, house mostly paid off, retirement accounts. I did some quick calculations on a napkin before I quit. We'll tighten our belts a little. We'll be okay. What I didn't account for was what it feels like when income stops. Every bill suddenly looks bigger. Every little purchase feels risky. You open your banking app way more than is good for your mental health. I hadn't really tracked our spending before. I just assumed we were comfortable. That word, comfortable, is dangerous. It hides a lot of waste, a lot of mindless spending, a lot of denial. Within 6 months of quitting, I had some very uncomfortable realizations. We spent more on little things than I wanted to admit. Eating out, subscriptions, random stuff for the house. Our emergency fund was not actually built for a long-term life change. It was built for a broken car, not a broken identity. Healthcare without my job's insurance? I'll just say this. You feel it. And I started to notice this weird pattern in myself. The same man who said, "Life is short, I don't want to die at my desk," started saying things like, "We'll travel next year. I'll start that project when things feel more stable. I'll relax when the money situation is clear." Sound familiar? It's the same trap, just with different clothes on. Here's what I wish I had done before I quit. I wish I had lived for 6 months as if I was already on my post-job income. Same house, same life, but smaller budget. I wish I had learned exactly how much I needed every month, not how much I thought I needed. And I wish I had faced those numbers honestly instead of hiding behind optimism. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Quitting your job doesn't fix your relationship with money. It exposes it. Every blind spot shows up. Every illusion gets stripped away. And that can be terrifying if you're not ready. But the money wasn't the only problem. There was something deeper. For 30 years, when someone asked, "So, what do you do?" I had an easy answer. I had a title that made people nod with respect. I had an identity that fit nicely on a business card. The first time someone asked me that after I quit, I panicked. I used to be a partner at... I'm taking some time off. I'm figuring out what's next. It felt like my value had vanished overnight. Nobody had actually taken anything from me, but inside, I felt naked, small, like my worth as a human being had been repossessed the moment I turned in my resignation. I'd built my entire sense of self on being the important guy, the busy guy, the successful guy. When that disappeared, I was left with a question I had avoided for decades. Who am I if I'm not my job? And that question can keep you up at night. You think you want endless free time, and then you get it, and realize you don't know how to live a day that isn't defined by someone else's agenda. Let me give you an example. A couple of weeks after I quit, my wife went back to work in the morning and I stayed home. I made coffee. I sat down at the kitchen table with a notebook, determined to plan my new life. 2 hours later, I had doodled, written half a to-do list I didn't follow, checked the news, drifted into anxiety. By noon, I'd done nothing meaningful. By dinner, I felt useless. And that became a pattern for a while. Not because I was lazy, but because I'd never learned the skill of managing my time when no one was telling me what to do. Do you know how it feels to go from booked solid days to absolutely blank weeks? At first it sounds like heaven. Then it starts to feel like you're slowly dissolving. And it didn't just affect me. When I told my wife I wanted to quit, I framed it in this beautiful, romantic way. I almost died. I want to spend more time with you, with the kids. I want to live fully. I don't want to miss any more of our life. How do you argue with that? She said yes, because she loves me, because she was scared of losing me. But here's what we didn't really break down. What it was actually going to feel like to change our life this drastically. We didn't talk in detail about what we'd give up. We didn't talk about what would happen if the money got tight. We didn't talk about how it would feel for her to carry more of the financial security, even if the math technically worked. So when the reality hit, when we started saying no to trips, cutting back, watching every expense, that's when the tension started. Suddenly, money conversations, which had always been calm, became loaded. She'd ask, "Are you sure we're going to be okay?" And I'd hear it as, "You made a mistake." I got defensive, she got worried, and we both felt like we'd stepped onto a shaky bridge without really checking if it was built properly. My kids, grown by then, were polite, but I could hear it in their questions. "So, what are you going to do now, Dad? Are you thinking of maybe teaching part-time or something? That's a big risk, huh?" Underneath all that was their own fear. Is my dad okay? Are my parents going to be safe? That's something nobody warns you about. When you quit, it's not just your life that changes. Everyone around you feels the aftershocks. Your partner, your kids, sometimes even your friends. They built their idea of stability with your old life as part of the picture. When you redraw the picture, they feel it too. So there I was, no job, income dropping, identity shaken, tension at home, a head full of dreams, and a stomach full of fear. And on top of that, I had told myself this story. Once I quit, I'll finally do meaningful work. I'll write that book. I'll start something that matters. I'll live with purpose. Beautiful idea. Very inspiring. Also much harder than I expected. I thought purpose would just appear once I cleared my calendar. I was wrong. I didn't magically wake up knowing how to write a book. I didn't automatically have the discipline to sit down and work on something with no deadline, no boss, no paycheck attached. Some days I'd get fired up, write for an hour, and then not touch it again for a week. Other days I'd question the whole thing. Who's going to care what I have to say? What if I fail? What if I burn through our savings chasing some fantasy of meaningful work and it all falls apart? I even got a few small opportunities. Someone invited me to speak at a local event. A friend asked if I could consult a bit for his business. And you know what my first reaction was? Panic. Because saying yes meant responsibility. It meant showing up. It meant trying hard and maybe discovering I wasn't as capable outside my old job as I thought I was. So for a while I drifted, stuck between the old identity I had left and the new one I hadn't built yet. That's the part I want you to understand. Quitting is not the finish line. It's the starting line of a very different kind of race. One where no one is shouting directions, no one is timing you, and no one is promising a medal at the end. So how did I get from there? Lost, scared, ashamed, to where I am now, talking to you at 73, grateful I made that hard choice. It didn't happen overnight. There was no magic moment where everything clicked. It was a series of small, unglamorous decisions. I started by doing something very unsexy. I faced the numbers, all of them. I sat down with a notebook and wrote down every bill, every subscription, every regular expense. I stopped telling myself stories and started listening to the math. It was humbling. I realized how much we'd been wasting just because we felt like we deserved it after working hard. I cut things. We simplified. Not forever, but for as long as we needed to rebuild a stable foundation. Then I had another hard conversation with my wife. This time I didn't come in with a speech. I came in with questions. How does all of this feel to you, honestly? What scares you the most about this new life we're building? What would help you feel safer while we figure it out? We talked for hours. There were tears. There were apologies. There were also real agreements about what we were and were not willing to sacrifice. And you know what happened? The tension started to ease. Because instead of pretending everything was fine, we were finally on the same team, facing the problems together. On the identity side, I had to learn a new way to think about myself. I started experimenting with a different answer to the question, "So, what do you do?" Instead of leading with my old title, I tried things like, "I'm learning how to live slower after years of working too much." "I'm working on writing about what I've learned in my life." "I'm trying to help people not make the same mistakes I did." At first, it felt awkward, but slowly I stopped needing that shiny job title to feel like I mattered. I started to see my value in different places, in my relationships, in my health, in the people I could help with what I'd been through. Day to day, I built structure where there was none. I picked a time to wake up and stuck with it. Not noon, a real morning. I made a simple rule: move my body every day. Walks, light exercise, anything. I chose one important thing each day, just one, that I would do no matter what. Some days it was writing one page. Some days it was calling someone I cared about. Some days it was learning something new. I stopped expecting my purpose to shout at me and started listening for it in the small things I actually enjoyed doing. And slowly, something shifted. I found a rhythm of part-time consulting, not climbing the ladder again, just a way to contribute and keep money flowing, without selling my soul back to the company. I volunteered, at first just a few hours a week, helping kids with homework, talking to people at a community centre. It didn't pay in money, but it paid in something else I desperately needed: feeling useful. I kept writing, badly at first, inconsistent, but I kept showing up. One page at a time, no book deal, no guarantee, just the act of finally honouring that thing I'd always said I wanted to do. And the wild thing is, the problems didn't disappear. We still had financial scares. I still had days where I felt lost. My wife and I still had arguments. But those problems started to feel like part of the path, not signs I'd made a terrible mistake. Looking back now from 73, here's how I'd sum it up. Quitting my job did not magically make my life better. What it did was force me to finally grow up in areas I'd been avoiding my whole life: money, identity, relationships, time. Was it worth it? Yes. Was it easy? Not even close. Would I do it again? I would, but only with my eyes open. So if you're watching this thinking, "Man, I want to quit. I'm miserable. I want out," I'm not here to tell you not to. I'm here to tell you this: don't just run away from something. Decide what you're running toward. Don't just dream about freedom. Learn how you're going to handle it when nobody's watching you. Don't just think about how you feel. Talk to the people your decision will affect. Listen to their fear, not just your own frustration. Don't just calculate the money in your head. Put it on paper. Get real. And ask yourself some hard questions. If you quit and things get uncomfortable, financially, emotionally, are you willing to live a simpler life for a while? If your new, meaningful work takes years to pay off, will you still show up for it? If the excitement wears off and you feel lost, will you stay with the process instead of running back to the first comfortable cage that opens its door? Because here's the thing nobody tells you. Every path has a price. Staying in a job that's killing you has a price. Leaving that job without a plan has a price. The difference is, one price you kind of know already. The other you only discover once you're in it. I'm 73 now. The money is okay. The house is simpler. The titles are gone. My calendar is still not as full as it used to be, but the things on it matter more. I have time with my grandkids. I have a marriage that went through the fire and came out more honest. I have this chance to talk to you, to maybe help you think twice before you repeat my mistakes. If you take anything from this video, let it be this. Quitting your job is not the hero moment. It's just one scene. The real story is what you do after. How you face the fear. How you learn new skills you should have learned long ago. How you build a life that isn't just an escape from the old one, but something you're actually proud to live. Don't romanticize my choice. Respect it. Study it. Learn from the problems, not just the freedom. Because one day, whether you quit or not, you're going to be my age. You're going to look back and see a trail of decisions. And when that day comes, I don't want you to say, I was too scared to leave, or I jumped without thinking and it blew up my life. I want you to be able to say, I made hard choices with my eyes open. I built something real. I didn't just run. I lived on purpose. If this hit you, don't just click away and forget it. Pause. Ask yourself what you actually want your life to look like 5, 10, 20 years from now. And if you want more of these hard truths from someone who's already paid the price, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me where you are in your own story. Thinking of quitting? Just quit? Afraid to even consider it? I don't have all the answers, but I do have experience and not much time left. The clock is ticking for me and for you. The question is, what are you going to do with the time you've got? Really?